1 a.m. last night, I woke up, these clients came to mind, and I was just thinking I had to share this story. So if you've ever been told or thought you didn't think you could buy a house before, it's not in the cards for you, everybody in your family's always rented, and you don't think it's even possible, this is the story for you. And I really want to tell you, we're going to call them Terrence and Rochelle, and I want to tell you their story. And I know the title, I said, getting rich, that's not really the point of it, because I want you to understand, number one, it's a possibility, and number two, you can really build some wealth actually very easily if you'll just do a few very simple steps. There's two things that I want you to know, and I'll tell you those at the very end. So these clients came to me first, and they were so nervous. They had been told that basically they could never own a home. They just thought that it was out of the cards for them. They were actually in their 50s. I want to say mid 50s. So we had them into the office. They were like an online lead. I think they had inquired on Realtor.com or Zillow or something. They were so tense. They were so nervous. They were skeptical, leery of me, didn't know what I was going to charge or how the process was going to go, right? So we sat them down. I remember they had their teenage daughter with her. She was way too cool for school, popped in her headphones and was doing her own thing in the corner. And with the parents, Terrence and Rochelle, we'll call them, I was able to just dig into their situation. We started with talking finances. They had basically no savings. They had a decent income, they had decent credit, they had been at their jobs for a while, but they had basically no money. And so we started looking at options. Like, right, for this budget, you're gonna get this kind of house, you could move into this area, and they're like, well, can we really? I'm like, just trust me. So we got them in touch with one of our lenders since they had very little cash. They got them into a down payment assistance program. I think it cost them about $1,500 to buy this house, and it was about 5 years ago in 2017. We were able to get the financing and the pre-approval lined up, and we got out shopping. And the whole time they were just like nervous. I don't think he believed it at all. She did most of the shopping and working with me, and we'd go to a property and they're like, could this really be my house? Like, could I own this, And it was just a whole new realization for them. Fast forward about a month or so, we only made them about one or two offers on properties. They had originally started kind of in the Minneapolis area. They decided they wanted something a little different, and so we pushed out, and they were able to get something in kind of like a second, or maybe you call it a third ring suburb. They found this fantastic property. I think it was built in like the 90s. Reasonable move-in shape. They bought it for $175,000. Now this was 5 years ago. But because they moved up, I think about 10 minutes up the highway, that was able to get them a lot newer and nicer home at a cheaper price. And so for them, once they realized that was even an option, they loved it and they jumped on it. They're like, if we can get that house, we'll be happy to move. So they did. We closed on the property, and this is really where your part of the story kicks off. I want to give you some of the numbers from their situation. They bought the home for $175,000 in 2017. I pulled up the property here. It's currently worth about $300,000. So with paying down the mortgage, they've currently got about $150,000 in equity. Now, if that's a foreign term to you, here's basically, they bought the home at this much and the home is now worth this much, and that difference is called equity. So what does that mean? Why do you even care about equity? Well, first of all, if they ever wanted to sell that house, they could sell it and they'd get a check for the difference. Let's call it a $150,000 check that they could put into their bank account. So that's a crazy number because they came in with basically a net worth of zero, right? It was probably negative, to be honest, between car loans and things like that. So then they bought an asset, they had a mortgage on it, and then that asset grew in value. Their net worth is now about $150,000 more than it was only 5 years ago. So let's say they own that home for another 10 years. And this is the part about building wealth and getting rich, like I had said in the title. 10 years from now, they should have about $325,000 in equity. 20 years from now, they'll have about $630,000 in equity. Now, in 20 years, that home's gonna almost be paid off completely, and the home will be worth right around, say, $650,000. And so what does that mean for these clients? It basically means that if they sold that house, which I would not advise them to do, but if they wanted to sell that house, they could have a fat chunk of cash that they could basically retire off of, right? They're already 50s. And so however long they wanted to keep that home, they could have a really great buffer to their retirement fund. The second thing is going to be, let's say they wanted to keep that property and then buy something different. Maybe they want to buy something bigger or smaller. The kids are out of the house, so they want something smaller. They want to live in a different part of town or move around the country, right? They could then keep that property. They're basically going to have no payment on it at that point. They'll have a little bit of expenses, of course, for owning it, but then they're going to be able to rent it for a whole lot more. So on that property specifically, 20 years from now, I bet they have about a positive cash flow of about $2,000 per month in rental income. What does that mean? That means if they kept that home, they could have an extra income of about $24,000 a year on that property. And don't forget, homes go up in value about 3 to 4% per year. That's why I'm using 4% for that appreciation, that amount that the home value goes up. So if they keep that property, it's at $600,000, then it's going to be going up to what is that, $24,000 per year that they're going to be putting in their pocket in equity on that property. But don't forget, where are they going to be living? They're going to keep that property as a rental, and then they're going to go and move something else. They can take some of that cash out if they want as their equity to buy the new property with. And then that home is also going to be going up in value another 3 to 4% per year. So now they've got two assets. Let's say, I don't know, maybe the other one's only $400,000. Well, that's still $16,000 that one's going up in value, plus the 24 from the other one. Put it together, it's like $40,000 a year that they're earning in equity just off of those two properties. The first thing that these clients had to get over was the mindset idea that they couldn't own a home. They called me and they said, is it even an option? And I said, if you will trust me and believe that you can, I can 100% get you there. And they said, okay, if you say so, we'll believe it. And that would be my number one recommendation for you, is I want you to just trust me, okay? If you're ready now, call me, we'll have a consult and we'll get you in and we'll make that game plan. The second thing is, they had a very specific set of steps that I gave them, and I said, all right, you need to do A, B, C, D, E, and when you do, we're gonna be able to get you to a point where you own your own home. And they said, okay, and we got those things done. We got pre-approved, we got a little cash in the bank, we got things all lined up for them. They had reasonable expectations of what their money was going to be able to afford them. They looked in the part of town that both met their needs and they could afford a home in. They sacrificed on things that were less important, like their commute to work for them. And because of that, we were able to get them into that home. So if you will, number one, believe that you can get there. And number two, follow the guidance of an expert like myself. If you're in Minnesota, obviously, I hope you'll call me. Then we can absolutely get you into a home. And my question is, if you still aren't sure, I'd say, why not? Why not you? Why can't you own a home? My answer is, you definitely can. So when you're ready for help, my name is Joe Carmack. I'm a Twin Cities real estate agent, and I would love to help you. You don't even pay my commission. So please just give me a call, text, email, shoot me a DM, whatever you want to do. You can go to the website and get our buyer's guide for free, and you can call anytime. Thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next video.